Thank you for watching and welcome back to Rob Commits Thrivery, my YouTube channel where I talk about stealing abundance and excitement back from the forces within and without that withhold them from us. I think that sounds like a pretty catchy intro, better than the ones I've done before. Anyway, my name is Rob and I am here doing an overdue rap sheet covering what I have been up to in terms of committing Thrivery in both January and February 2026. Like I said in an earlier short, I didn't wind up doing a January one. So yeah, here is my attempt to catch up and talk a little bit about some of the things that I've been up to and perhaps a little bit of what's been going on in here during that period, because while I am, as you folks know from previous chats, part of the Men of Action program, and as part of that there are regular coaching updates, the coaches and the other guys in the group reckon that I am crushing things, and yet 4 months in now, I don't know, it still feels like I'm treading water rather than swimming toward an abundant life. Maybe that's just because I can't see the pieces that I'm putting together, and I figure this rap sheet would be a good way. I think there's a better term for rap sheet, but I can't think of anything better. Case file, maybe. Any suggestions you might have would be welcome, folks, to go over the evidence. Now, one of the things I do want to do with this YouTube project is not use it as an excuse for not getting out of the house. So this is why I'm actually sitting in my backyard at the moment. The other reason I'm sitting in my backyard is that I'm hoping my dog Suki might make the odd guest appearance, because I noticed that of all the shorts that I've been putting up lately, the one that did the best in terms of audience was the one with her in the background. But she has decided, I think in disgust, about not being walked yet today. I had a bit of a late one, which I will touch on in a little bit. And I think she's basically deciding that no, whatever Daddy is doing right now, unless it's walking her, she careth not for it. And well, fair enough. So I don't know, hopefully she'll pop in a bit. Well, let's get stuck in. God, there was a bit of me that was thinking, just try and get this done and make the process as easy on yourself as possible. And in between the phone flashing motor imbalance alerts and Suki barking at things and just trying to get lined up quickly, it seems like it's taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. So what we'll do is we'll get stuck into my little checklist of stuff here and talk about what happened in January. And depending on the editing process, I might even put some words here just to fill up the space, unless and until Suki decides to make her presence felt. So during January, it was a pretty busy one. I started attending trivia nights at the Campbell, which is a tavern not far away from the main Campbelltown train station, and they do trivia every Tuesday night. And within the last week or two, they've started adding tacos to it, so it's a combination taco and trivia Tuesday. And I've been working on inviting local folks with varying degrees of success, just hoping to make it a bit of a regular social thing. We started doing man on the street outings. I kicked off with a solo one myself, and then my friend Trevor, who appeared on one of the Thrivery videos I did where we were walking through Darling Harbour together and talking about various things, including podcasting, wound up bringing his kit along and running it while I was talking, and then we would swap places and I would run his camera while he was doing man on the streets with folks. So we're helping each other out there. And I think it wasn't until February when another member of Men of Action, Akil, wound up joining us for a couple. And I'll have to get back to that in the February roundup. I also wound up paying some first visits to me anyway, venues in town. There was Candy Lux in Woolloomooloo, as hosted by the wonderful Trish Carr, and I was hoping to get her on the new podcast that I'm working on. Unfortunately, things didn't quite wind up working out there, but still, she's an awesome human being who is doing some great things in town. I also wound up starting the chats for the aforementioned podcast and had a chat with a fella by the name of DJ Barbuto. And as a result of that, I found out that he was playing a gig at the Aura nightclub and let him know that I bought a ticket. He wound up getting me over to his place, which was in walking distance of Aura, for some pre-drinks, and then we all headed over there for a gig that a fella by the name of Matt Cesari was playing. So that was an awesome night. Unfortunately, I didn't wind up getting any recordings of it. No photos, no Instagram stories with guests, no videos that I could upload as reels later on. I think I am still overcoming a few hurdles there, at least internally, in terms of just whipping the phone out and getting the footage and trying to get people in on it. It's still a little bit of a scary thing to do. In mid-month, there was a wonderful photo shoot collaboration that I was invited to assist with. Trevor was the one who invited me along, and he was the main guy doing the organising. Met a whole bunch of new people, had a great time. There was also a meetup of or as many as possible, of the paid members of the Men of Action group as we could get together. There have been a whole bunch of new sign-ups to MOA during January in the Sydney area, which has been fantastic. There was also that night a charity dance event at the Marigold in Chinatown that I went along to. It was a bit of a quiet one, so I didn't feel like there were all that many opportunities to get some decent, irrefutable visual evidence there. But the good bit is, like I said at the beginning of this, I've been really trying to make sure that I get out of the house as much as possible. And even at the start of the year, just after Christmas, with holidays raging, it seems like I was able to get out of the house and meet a whole bunch of new people, which was fantastic. It's social exposure. I am putting the work in. Then we move on to February, which has been a full month. Of course, as I record this, it's Sunday, March the 1st, so February is technically fully over. The Lions Club kicked back off, although we did have a meeting in January as well. Curse ChatGPT, it summarised something up as birthday dinner, and for a second I was blanking on, wait, whose birthday was it? My Aunt Trish, which is actually, funnily enough, on Saturday, February the 14th. During January, I forgot to mention chatting with another fella by the name of Will Stolk, who wound up being one of the organisers of a Valentine's Day single cruise, which I was helping out issuing invitations to, and then a co-organiser asked if I would be willing to record the VIP footage. Sadly, I believe due to weather, but I can't be 100% sure, the cruise was cancelled the night before. So it just wound up being an afternoon out for my aunt's birthday, which was good anyway. The week after, I had organised a karaoke get-together at a venue called Goros in Surrey Hills, and that was good fun as well. Got a little bit of IVE there, thankfully, and then one of the folks who came along said that she and a few friends of hers were going to be going to Noir, which is a nightclub in the King's Cross area. Actually, I take that back. It's more, oh God, my suburbs are escaping me. I think it's Woolloomooloo, basically top end of Oxford Street, or bottom end if you're actually thinking geographically, further away from Sydney. And that was great fun. One of the folks who also came along to karaoke turned out knew one of the managers there and managed to get a little bit of IVE, which was great fun to do. I think I'm starting to get into developing my party stamina, enjoying these late night trips out to nightclubs and having a good time and meeting new people. Aside from that, Chris, another member of Men of Action who lives down south of me, we got together in Bowral last weekend and got some more Instagram footage and talked about the program and ways that we could keep helping each other out and things that we learned. And I've started putting a couple of photos from that up on my Instagram grid. I also did something new socially. I wound up going to a beginner's yoga session, which was on Wednesday night. It's a weekly thing. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make the next coming one because Lions Club is on, and it turns out it's a bit of an administrative meeting, which folks reckon that I ought to make sure I turn up to. So, unfortunately, it means I'll be taking a break from yoga. Yesterday was also a pretty big day. Through the Lions Club, we got invited to a Ramadan break of fast event, which was actually held at the church of a local branch of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So a bit of interfaith mixing going on there, and that was great. Again, got to meet a whole bunch of new people and had a new cultural experience, and starting to feel like I'm actually putting some local roots down. We will see what happens. And then I decided to keep in the habit of getting out. Thankfully, I'm trying to make sure I go out 3 nights a week, and there was Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday. I didn't go to salsa as planned. That was one thing I was doing a lot in January, and also continuing the habit of in February, going to salsa nights, which is Thursday nights at the Pontoon in Darling Harbour, which have been great fun so far. And I'm starting to get to the point where people are going, oh yeah, I've seen you around a fair bit. So the mere exposure is doing its work to keep the habit of getting out. This week I wound up, after the Ramadan event, getting the train in and popped in for a quick visit to Noir, while of course Mardi Gras was kicking off. So Oxford Street was completely locked off to vehicular traffic, and there were gays and queers and folks of, you know, all across the spectrum of the rainbow, out and about and having a great time. Sadly, I wound up with a bit of a headache, so I didn't stay out for as long as I was planning or hoping to. Also, of course, some track work was on down my way. So again, at the back of my mind, I was thinking getting home is going to be a bit of a pain, so I'm going to wind things up while I still have my sanity intact. I think I probably should have just hydrated better. That might have done something for the headache, but didn't think of that at the time. And it still wound up taking me about over 2 hours to get home. But I am keeping up that routine of getting out of the house at least 3 nights a week, and getting myself thoroughly out of my comfort zone on that front. So yeah, it feels like ChatGPT says there is a pattern of multiple ecosystems, not just one social line. So yeah, I am making sure that I am living a thorough and varied life. One I think I could safely say is on the way to being a thriving one, if not thriving. Or I keep trying to figure out what the police equivalent is of places that you are known to frequent. I'm sure there is some sort of shortcut word that they have for that concept, but I can never think of what it is. So I'm making the Campbell one of my regular places. It's within walking distance. It's well appointed. Sadly, attendance of it seems to be a little bit on the low side, and I'm hoping that maybe I can be somehow a part of changing that around. We will see. Of course, there is the Pontoon Bar with a Thursday night salsa and cheap pizza, and I quite like Noir, even if the cover charge was a little bit of a stinger on Saturday night. I would assume it would have been, I don't know what the usual cover charge is, but I assume it would have been a little bit higher than normal just because of Mardi Gras and people being out and about. I'm glad to say that I am building up some regular accomplices, mainly through the MOA group. There is Akil, there is Trevor, absolutely. Stefan I've met once at the get-together and once online. And Chris, of course, we wound up going to Bowral. And I am slowly but surely making some female friends as well. So it does feel like it says from lone wolf, and I don't really feel like I've ever been a wolf. I've been kind of just hiding away a little bit, but it still feels like a lot of the stuff that I've been doing, I've been kind of having to do on my own. But I'm now starting to build up folks who might not always be there for me, but there are enough of them that I will be able to get someone to come out and do stuff with me, even if it's not the same bunch of people every time. So the honest question, says my set of prompts, why does it still feel like I'm not swimming? I think when it comes down to it, I feel like I'm treading water, I guess just because maybe I've got some unrealistic expectations of myself and the amount of progress I should have been making by now. You know, one of the things that drew me into the Men of Action program is all this footage that Michael Sartain has of this thriving and abundant and exciting and party-filled life that he leads. And while, you know, I signed up for a 6-month program, there is this bit of me that, you know, thinks, all right, you know, by start of month 4, shouldn't I be a bit further along? Shouldn't I have more regular friends, more places that I'm known at? And it's like, no, it takes time. And it also, not just to implement processes, but also get over all of the stuff that goes on in my own head. that keeps me isolated and single. You know, all those fears don't just go away after a few months. They take regular practice and regular experience overcoming. And that's the thing that I feel like I'm just starting to get into. Activity without clear objectives feels like drift, says my thing. It's easy to have a bigger objective, but when you don't really know the exact small steps that are going to get you there, and when you do feel afraid to fail, it makes you less willing to want to experiment. And also when you don't get any immediate big results, you start thinking, well, maybe I am doing the wrong thing. Maybe I should be pushing myself harder and further, without recognizing the progress that I actually have made so far. Missing consistent IVE, irrefutable visual evidence, metrics and defined wins per venue. Metrics are good, but if I start really trying to push for wins, then I'm going to be less likely to enjoy the moment of being out and meeting new people, which is really what it is all about. And if there is the thought that if I try and slap metrics around it and make meeting people a target, I am getting into that headspace of using people as a means to an end, instead of treating them like an end in and of themselves. Then again, maybe at least setting a win as in a measure, a goal, and then letting go of it and having a great time and trying to, just nudge myself out of my comfort zone as I go. And then at the end of it, just do a post-mortem and say, okay, so if this was my goal, how close did I get to it? And did I even achieve it when I was too busy having a good time and just keeping in the habits to notice? So maybe that's a thought. Be intentional about passive consumption. Okay, that was one thing I did want to note. I did also catch up with a recent friend whom we'd fallen out of touch in Dulwich Hill, and she, Ariella is her name, recommended to me that I watch K-pop Demon Hunters, which of course I've heard a lot about, but hadn't actually seen. So I renewed my Netflix subscription, watched that. Thank you very much, Ariella. It was good fun. And then wound up also blitzing through the last season of Stranger Things. I had seen the prior seasons in prior years, and hadn't really worried too much about keeping up with the new season. But once I'd got Netflix back, I thought, what the hell, let's go through that. And of course, I also wound up indulging in the animated series Terminator Zero, which was an interesting little spin on the Terminator franchise, which I did quite like and appreciate. It says, my summary says next, reframing the feeling. This is pipe work, not stagnation. Thriving feels repetitive before it compounds. And again, I think that's that mindset that I'm trying to keep, that I mentioned a little bit earlier on, that recognition that what I am doing now is building the foundations and laying the groundwork, and it is repetitive and it is hard, and it is by the nature of it putting me out of my comfort zone, and I just need to keep doing it. Just keep swimming, as Dory says in Finding Nemo, and accept that I'm not going to necessarily get the results, because this time is all about doing the thing and failing and learning from those failures, and then iterating in terms of what I do next. Just keep doing it, keep fucking up, keep finding out, and then keep doing things slightly different as a result. It's a tough thing to keep in mind at times, but I think it's the only thing that really matters. And just rather than worrying whether I'm taking the right direction as a whole and then throwing everything out and trying some completely new endeavor, accept that consistency is what I need right now more than anything else. What do I want to do in March? I do want to try and bed my routines down some. I did make a note that I'd like to do at least one long form thing weekly. So more of these reports for YouTube, although these ones are going to be monthly. But yeah, just keep talking on a topic that matters to me at the moment, or even just come up with a list of topics and do the work of keeping showing up no matter how good or bad the end result is. Funnily enough, I actually had a comment on one of the shorts that I put up recently, where someone said something on the lines of, I thought this was meant to be short content, not crappy content. And I just said, thank you very much for your time, because what the hell? The person who watched it and then put in the extra effort to put a comment in. So, thank you very much for helping my engagement, you random person who thought they were having a roast or having a complaint, but was actually helping me along. I think it was the first time I actually felt genuinely good to see a bad comment. I thought, great, this is great. I'm getting enemies. People are taking the time to rant about what I'm doing. And yeah, sure, of course it's crap, but that's the point. The point isn't whether or not it's crap. I do my best to make sure that it's quality, but right at the moment, I need quantity, I need repetition, I need consistency to keep me going, to get over all those feelings of, oh, why not just give it up and hide in my house for the rest of my life. Consider daily shorts from events. Well, I've been enjoying this 14-day challenge that I've been doing, so maybe I just keep on with a list of topics and keep posting little shorts regardless. Book more podcast guests. So one of the things I do tend to do, it feels in part like a chucking it all in and restarting, but I think it is more of an adjustment. I am changing the concept of my show from what I talked about earlier on in that chat with Trevor to something a little bit more aligned with this project, this whole idea of committing Thrivery. Add one brunch venue. I've been exploring a lot of venues of late, and I do want something that I can invite people to in the afternoon as a social event and kind of a networking event. A little bit more on that lately. Explore venue interview deals. That was one of the things that Stefan and I were talking about in our meetup, and ways that I can see about providing value in return for things like free tables or meals or getting a comped VIP table at a nightclub. Is maybe I can do things like turn the man on the streets that I've been doing into interviews with folks who pay for the VIP treatment and VIP tables and that kind of thing. And so they can have that for their own social media. And of course, I get it for mine. And providing value to a venue might be a way for them to then say, okay, well, as a thank you, we will do this for you. So yeah, just a way of putting my personality and my interpersonal skills to some work, and also getting out of my comfort zone in terms of making an offer. I also did order the first 3 books in Alex Hormozi's $100 million series. He had a special going where if you order them and just pay for the shipping, he will send you the books themselves for free. So I thought, what the hell? I'd listened to the audiobook of $100 million offers. Stefan has the physical copy and appreciates it very much. And I get the feeling there's a lot of gold there that's going to help me get out of my comfort zone, become a little bit more of a salesman, and maybe a little bit more of an entrepreneur. Increase intentional mere exposure. Just keep turning up to places and saying hi to people, getting to know the staff, trying to get Instagram footage with other folks who are there, and keep having fun with it all. Worry less about it and just try and find that sweet spot in my mind where instead of getting afraid or ashamed, I get excited and enthusiastic. So yeah, maybe after all of this, in the end, I'm not treading water. I only think I am. And instead, I'm laying the infrastructure for future Thrivery. I'm digging the tunnels underneath the bank that will allow me to get into the safe and make off with the goods. And maybe this is where all of that hard work starts to compound.